Today on the Nerdy Gritty, product placement. Obnoxious or necessary evil.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am Dez.
I'm Fox.
And Fox, do you know how I feel today?
Are you lit?
I am not so lit right now.
You're
okay.
not? Oh,
No.
I'm so sorry.
You know why?
Why?
Because I feel incredible.
Okay, wait. I feel Incredibles too.
Whoa! Nice. We got that in there. Yeah,
happen.
Incredibles 2 just came out, and it broke the box office record for animated movie releases.
Suck it, Frozen.
Yeah, take that.
Yeah.
And I think this is really cool because to me, The Incredibles has always been almost a perfect movie. The first Incredibles.
Agreed.
Because it comes with a point of being about so many things, but never being confusing. It is about superheroes.
Yes.
It is also about family.
Right.
It is also about midlife crises. It is also about accepting who you are.
Identity and,
It does all of these things, and it does it so well,
Right.
and it still manages to be clever and funny and goofy.
I mean,
and
we
so
can all
good.
say best Pixar movie ever made.
Yeah. I don't.
Nobody would ever argue with that. Everybody listening agrees with me.
I mean, there are a lot of things that you could say about Pixar because they're just fantastic movie
Pretty good at
makers.
what they do.
Yeah. But I don't know if I agree with that. Also, I'm a little biased because the music is just stellar too.
Yeah.
It's just this exciting jazz, big band.
Yeah, it feels like
So
a 50s kind of action
Spy,
adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
It's
great, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. Well, man, how are you? How have things been? What have you been up to?
I forgot we should talk about this. We went to a Renaissance fair this weekend.
Yeah, we did.
We went to the Oregon Renaissance Fair. This is the third year it's been a thing, and we've gone every year. And you've gone to a lot, and I've gone to one before. Anyway,
Really?
I went to one way back when with you
Just
guys.
one, though. I didn't realize that's all. You've only ever been with us?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yes. But yeah, we went to the Renaissance Fair on Sunday, and I don't know how you would know, but for all of you out there, Dez's wife is a master craftsman of
various sorts.
of a lot of things, but also specifically Renaissance costumes.
Yeah,
very period accurate, elaborate, beautiful costumes. They're the type of costumes that when you wear them at the Renaissance Fair, people who work there will address you as royalty, or essentially they will. It's great, and it's really fun to dress up and wear that, and just it's a good time in general for a couple hours hanging out and just watching the jousting and the shows and the comedians and the people playing the mandolin, and it's great.
It's really cool. If you guys have never been to a Renaissance festival, imagine essentially like a craft fair.
Yes.
Where it's a lot of homemade things, a lot of self-made things, and a lot of performance art and things like that. But everybody attempts to do this in the area or the time period of the Renaissance, and they'll even have a section of players, and the players are people who have practiced to speak with English accents and to speak in Middle English, and there is always a queen.
Yep.
Queen Elizabeth I, I believe, is who was supposed to be.
I thought it was
Mary Queen of Scots.
That's what I thought it was this year.
So, okay, because here's the thing. The Renaissance goes for a couple of hundred years.
I don't know anything about the actual history.
It could be a few different
queens. Plenty of different queens.
Right. So I have both have come along.
Maybe
and
it
then
was
different ages
it
are
was
another
the band
thing too.
queen.
So yep. And Freddie Mercury was there.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. But it's really, really cool and a lot of fun. But something that happens really often with my wife whenever we go, because she makes such period accurate dresses, is we get presented to the queen.
Yep.
And we get brought to her and we get introduced and whatnot. So it's really cool.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have more?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll come back.
Mostly you've just been playing God of War.
That's true. I've been playing a lot, and I have one more Valkyrie to go. I finished all the Muspelheim trials this morning. I am very close to being what I would consider done with the game.
Yeah. So I have done a couple of things, but mostly what I want to talk about is I saw a movie last night that was a bad movie. And I mean, some people could disagree with me. I would be upset with them on it, but this isn't like an old B movie or thing like that I've been watching for a while. This was a pretty big movie, pretty recent that had got a lot of press and whatnot. Red Sparrow, starring Jennifer Lawrence, was just awful.
From the very first time I saw the trailer for it, I was like, hey, I'm not going to watch that.
So to me, it looked like generic spy movie.
It did.
And that, and so...
Whatever, but...
Yeah, whatever. And it looked exciting and fun, and it looked generic spy movie. Yes. And I was interested in that, and my wife actually was really interested. She was the one who was like, let's rent that movie. Okay, so let me give you the premise. Not generic spy movie. Prima ballerina is injured and can no longer be prima ballerina.
Sure.
And uncle works for the Russian government.
Okay.
And goes in, he's like, yes, but you're very beautiful and you've always been able to read the emotions of people. We're going to put you into because it's all communism. So if you want to keep serving the state, you still need to do something. We're going to put you in this school, public school number 4. And what it essentially is a sex school on how to seduce people and get information from them. Exclusively that, though. Nothing.
That's all it is?
No fighting, no secret spy things. It's exclusively that. And the thing that they are teaching you in this is to learn how sex is just a flesh thing and has nothing to do with anything. So you need to remove all emotion. And they try and portray it to the audience like that. So there is blatant frontal nudity of both genders. Rape is depicted at least 3 times in it. Pornography is depicted in the movie. It was the type of thing where halfway through it, I got up and walked away.
Sure.
I couldn't. I just like, this is, I feel uncomfortable right now.
Yeah, 100%.
And it was 100% unnecessary. Like, I came back about 10 minutes later and finished the movie because the public school 4 scene was the worst. And when that scene was over, I came back and I finished the movie. But, not necessarily a movie at all.
Sure.
It was a generic spy movie, but they decided, let's add a bunch of awkward nudity in it too.
That sounds fun.
That's it. Like, that's all it was. And it was blatant, and it was uncomfortable, and it was unnecessary, and I disliked it for that.
Yeah, it looked pretty generic to me, and Jennifer Lawrence is always, like, whenever she's in a movie and she's not like Katniss or Mystique, she always just seems like a young girl playing dress up to me.
She has an Oscar.
I understand that. I'm not saying she's a bad actress. Okay. Or anything. I'm just saying it's hard for me to like take her seriously because she's very young looking. She is young, but she's very young looking, and so when she dresses up as like an older person, or like, she just always reminds me. She looks like a young girl playing dress up.
Yeah,
and it's hard for me to take it seriously. So yeah, never really wanted to see that, and
don't.
Thanks for the review. I'm
going to tell you guys this: don't see Red Sparrow.
Yeah,
there are a lot of bad movies out there that I'd be like, you know what? If you want to try it out, if you want to watch it, go. Don't see Red Sparrow.
Yeah,
they tried to go a route in which they were like, if we sensationalize sex as much as possible, maybe our mediocre movie can get some extra press.
Yeah,
don't give them money for that.
Yeah,
I regret doing so.
I also saw a movie. It was Hotel Artemis.
Oh, that looked good to me. That looked exciting to me.
Yeah, you've seen John Wick, both of them.
Yeah.
You know, the Continental, like that hotel. This is essentially farther in the future. It's 2028. And it's essentially, Hotel Artemis is like the Continental.
Right.
But it's specifically a hospital for criminals. And it, like, they could have made some sly reference and it would have been great, but this is not based on anything in the movie connected or anything. I would have loved it. But it was essentially, what if 2028 Los Angeles, which is basically a dystopia, without being a dystopia, water has been privatized, and Clearwater, the company that basically owns water for the Los Angeles area, has shut it down. And there are riots outside. There's a lot going on in the movie. A lot of different like threads that are happening and like different things to keep track of. But they did a good job of making like you like the nurse lady. They just call her Nurse.
Yeah. Who
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster. I love Jodie Foster.
Yeah, she was fine. It was I mean, it was a fine movie. Mm-hmm. It wasn't something I'll ever watch again. It didn't like blow my mind, but I like the concept of a criminal underworld having rules and having like you know,
neutral
like,
ground.
Yeah, like the Continental.
Yeah.
It was great. That the Continental is, and just that concept. And so there was some like emotional like reasons to get behind, like to like some of the characters, even though they're criminals themselves doing
Right.
criminal things. And also Jeff Goldblum is in it.
Yep.
He shows up. He's the Wolf King, the king of crime of Los Angeles, and he's super freaking goofy as always, and awesome. He can save anything. I mean, not that the movie needed being saved, but if it was worse and he was still in it, it would have been better because of it. Like,
right. Drax is in it.
Drax is in it. He
Dave
was
Bautista.
Yeah, Batista was in it. He was surprisingly like a good. It's the first time I've seen him not be Drax, to kind of be more of like a emotive person.
Yeah.
Because the only other thing I've seen with him is Spectre, the last Bond movie, and he was literally a silent muscle guy who fought James Bond a couple times. This was the first time I've seen him be kind of a human being, both literally with Guardians of the Galaxy and actually have emotion, unlike James Bond. And yeah, he was good too. Charlie Day was in it, who's in Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the best character in Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he was great. He was given room to be crazy and goofy like Charlie Day should be.
Yeah.
So it was worth watching.
I'm glad.
It wasn't anything amazing, but it was worth watching.
The preview made it seem like exactly that for me, and I was really intrigued by it, and I want to see it. So I'm glad to hear that it was pretty good.
It was fun. Now we just need John Wick Part 3 right now, please. And then Part 4, and then all of the John Wicks.
I have a question for you about Hotel Artemis.
Okay.
Did they ever compare Hotel Artemis to maybe the Doubletree Hilton and the luscious rooms in Doubletree Hilton? Or did they ever, like, in all of their fighting, need to pull over and crack open a cold Coca-Cola and take a nice refreshing drink?
Yes, none of them had drinking water, but they all had Coca-Cola readily available. No, so yeah.
I'm sure glad my Mercedes comes with this refrigerator stacked with ice-cold Coca-Cola.
No, they might have made a reference to like, well, it's not the Hilton we're in or something like that. But watching that movie, I don't remember a single instance of. I mean, it made sense because there was shots of L.A. and there might have been a logo on a building or something, but nothing that just seemed like, look at this advertising, which is good and made sense for the world that they were creating. This is supposed to be a rundown, crappy world. Right. And so, no, I don't remember any of that kind of stuff happening.
Well, that's good, because that's actually been something that's more and more common in movies and comic books even, and everything these days.
Yes.
The free comic book day comics we were reading, every little once in a while, you'd turn a page and it was like, Gorilla Grodd is attacking. Wait, is it Gorilla Grodd? Give him a Snickers.
Yes.
And the dude eats a Snickers, and it's just a guy, and it was like,
look, not Grodd.
Yeah, you go pretty gorilla, you go ape when you're hungry.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of Metal, the DC Dark Knight's Metal storyline, and literally every single issue has that somewhere.
That one.
And it's just like, okay, guys.
Calm down.
I'm not going to buy a Snickers.
I don't want
no matter
Snickers.
How many times I read this. But yeah, it's a thing.
And so the question that we're going to be asking and talking about today is this kind of direct product placement, or as Jack in 30 Rock put it when they talked about it in the show, racial integration. No, that's not it. Product integration.
That's not it. That's great.
So is this something that's good? Is this something that's bad? Is it a necessary evil, or is it just obnoxious? So, Fox, give me some examples. What are some ways that you have seen it? Some places that it's been blatant, some places that it's been subtle. What do you think?
There are a couple that come to mind. The most blatant product, Adam Sandler movies. Done. That's every single Adam Sandler movie. Don't watch them, but if you happen to, just keep a list of every single product you see, and you will be busy the whole movie.
Oh, man.
But also, okay, I'm just going to ignore that. It's too ridiculous, and I talk about Adam Sandler too much, I think, in my personal life. And anyway, just in general.
I need to calm down on Adam Sandler.
Yeah, too much. The very first time I remember, like, noticing product placement that was attempting to be integrated well but really wasn't was in the game Alan Wake.
Oh my god.
There are a couple instances where like you collect what do you collect? You collect batteries.
Not a couple of instances.
You need batteries for gameplay, and they are specifically Energizer batteries. The logo pops up everywhere. Now, inexplicably in the game also, like, where you have a Verizon cell phone.
Yes.
Which fine, but also at some point, like you see the logo a couple times, but also at some point when you are talking to somebody on the phone, probably your wife or something,
a couple of times,
you straight up say, can you hear me now? Good. Like that at the time was like their tagline. The guy who in their commercials would walk around the world and be like, can you hear me now? Good. Yeah. It was so annoying. And also flashlights were were Coleman brand, I think, or maybe I'm thinking of Final Fantasy 15. Their tents, the tents in that. Yeah, that was the major one that I can always think of as like, okay, guys.
No, okay, and you didn't even mention the worst one to me.
Oh, what is it?
To me, the worst one in Alan Wake is you'd be walking around and sometimes it'd be like really dark shadows are attacking you, and you turn the corner and there'd be a TV, and the TV would flicker, and then it would be playing a Verizon commercial.
Yeah,
a literal like Verizon that you'd see on TV commercial.
Right, an actual commercial.
Yes, and it's bright and it's red and there's like the darks and the midnight blues and everything around, and then there's this bright commercial in the corner for Verizon, and it's a literal commercial.
Yeah, and there was another time when I remember I saw the movie Cloverfield in theaters, and that movie is set in New York City. It's handheld camera, as if it's filmed as if it's people in the movie with a camcorder filming what's happening. And there was a certain point in which like somebody was getting antsy and crazy, and the other person shoves them up against the wall to like calm them down, and it's literally right next to like a Chanel logo, like next to a store. And I remember it popped out to me. I was like, that's clearly an advertisement. It kind of reminded me of what's the movie with Jim Carrey?
Where The Mask?
No, no, the one where he's like trapped in the Majestic in the dome.
Ed TV. No,
Dear Lord.
I know what it is. It's The Truman Show.
Truman Show, where that happens every single day as like, because they're advertising on the TV show, and he gets pushed up against a new billboard every day. And it was just kind of funny, but it reminded me of that. And it's just like, let's put him right here next to this logo. Which that one to me was like, it still shot out. Like I still thought about it and it kind of took me out. But also I was like, well, they're in New York. It's supposed to be like an actual event happening in actual New York. I've been to New York. There are stores there. In fact, that whole city is basically filled with advertisements. It's not the most unnatural feeling thing ever.
Absolutely. I agree.
So that was a little better, but it still did jump out to me. And then there's a million things.
We could go on.
There's a million examples. Man of Steel with the fight in Smallville at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, that went into IHOP.
Right.
So let me get your opinion on this, because just even like leading into this, we had to cut each other off because we started talking about it beforehand. I get the idea that we actually probably have a little bit of a different opinion on this. So,
really?
Yeah, let me see. What do you think in general about product placement and how it's done currently?
I see it as a necessary evil. Unfortunately, movies cost a lot to make nowadays.
Yeah, they do. And video games and everything.
Basically everything. Yeah, for me, movies are the place where it most pops out, so that's generally what I think of. But things cost a lot of money, and if you can save some money by offering a company to incorporate their logo into your game, or something like that, and save some money, I get it. Like I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. If it's natural, it makes sense to me. I don't like it though. Even if it's real, like supposed to be the real world, it always... Well, I can't say always. I'll talk about that more a little bit. But if it pops out to me, then it's a detriment to the movie. Yeah. Even if I can say, oh, that makes sense. That's supposed to be there. Like, why wouldn't it be there?
Right.
It still takes me out of the movie because I'm now thinking of something beyond just the actual events. Like, I'm thinking of the metagame behind the movie where it's like, there's advertising. So clearly they got paid to do that.
Right.
And now I'm not thinking about what's going on in the movie. And so I think that it's 98% of the time detrimental to the experience of watching or playing the game gaming for sure. It's more. It's
Yeah,
worse.
well, especially because gaming stretches a lot of genres.
Yes.
You know, so you could have like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Hopefully, we're not going to see an Energizer logo somewhere in there.
Sure, that would be terrible. Yeah, like Final Fantasy 15 was terrible with it.
It's so blatant.
This is an entirely different universe or world or planet or something.
But they still have Coleman Camping Products and Cup of Noodles.
And it's just shoved in your face. And that was terrible. What about you? If we have different opinions, what do you think?
I think it's actually it could be used as a force for good.
Okay.
It's one thing that I'm glad that they do it. I wish that they did it better. That's exactly what it is.
So I need you to expand on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the truth of the matter is you're right. It costs a lot of money to make these things. And what a lot of people would say is, I wish they would turn around and just say, no,
right.
We will not do it. But at the end of the day, why not? Why not just say, all right, cool. My dude's going to drink a Coke rather than generic soda, and you're going to give me another $1 million to make my movie with, and that's going to help pay for all of my stuntmen. That $1 million is going to pay for all of my stuntmen, and I can do some better stunt guys. I can do some more like greater things with it. And at that point, if it's done well and if it's done properly, if a dude is like, you know, all right, get out of here, and he grabs a can of Coke and he opens it and he's drinking while he's walking out the door, and it's 100% natural, fine. Again, if you're, I get what you're saying.
Just like the crisp taste of Coca-Cola, 100%
See,
natural.
no, not that. And so this is something we talked about beforehand, and this is to me where they're trying to toe the line, but it's not. This is the line. I think this is exactly crossing the line, and it's in a lot of TV shows that I'm watching these days. Bones does it a lot. Psych did it a few times, but it's usually with cars where people will be like, "We got to get to the crime scene," and they get in the car and they'll say something like, "I don't know how to get there." That's okay. My onboard GPS can get us there. And then, like, it'll show them, like, it's like the Mercedes logo, and then he taps the screen, and then it goes to the onboard GPS.
Yeah.
And, it, like, that's natural. That is a natural conversation that people have.
Is it?
Like, I know for a fact you have gotten in a car and said, dang it, I don't know how to get there. And somebody else has said, I'll pull it up on my phone or whatever.
Sure,
and
but it's never it has never been like, okay, well, I will go to Google LLC, their maps division, and put into their.
It's never that blatant in the show. I'm exaggerating, but see, that's my point. Is that's where it crosses the line. Okay. That's where it goes out, because that they're trying to be natural. That is a natural thing that could happen, but they're also kind of shoehorning in that advertisement. If they got in a car and they just said, all right, how do we get there? Let me check my GPS. That would be fine. That would be a natural conversation. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or, like, again, a lot of times they just drive Honda. And as they pull away, you can definitely see the Honda logo on the car. Right. That's fine to me. That's a natural thing. And so here's one that I think they did it well, and I think you would disagree with me. But to me, the Man of Steel fight, when they're in Smallville, when they're in Smallville,
a small young baby cow.
This is an accent that I don't know where it's from. No, so when they're in Smallville and they're fighting, they end up in a 7-Eleven, and there's explosions, and it's, you know, whatever, and then they throw a truck, and it rolls into an IHOP, and, like, people run out of IHOP, and whatever else, and, like, yes, that was clearly an advertisement.
It was.
But you know what? How often in any, like, movies like that do gas stations explode and things crash into buildings?
Pretty often.
Sure. But they're always generic gas station and generic building. Why not get an extra $100 million from IHOP and 7-Eleven to just put the logo on it?
To me, like I said before, it just instantly takes me. To me, I'm now thinking, oh, look at that commercial. You're trying to sell me IHOP, not give me a movie that I'm interested. Like, to me, it becomes less. It makes it more clear that they are selling you a product, and through that product, trying to sell you other products. When I paid to be here, like, don't try to get me to spend more money I paid to be here already. I've already given you my money. And so, yes, I understand that it's completely natural, and IHOP exists in a small town. Right. Sure, they're fighting in that town. They might end up at that IHOP. It's not really something they can control with evil monsters and stuff.
Right.
But to me, it's not about the exact, like, in-universe... I mean, also, it is important. In-universe, like, reality of the situation. To me, it just screams, this is a product, not a piece of art.
On the flip side... And this, I know that this happens with me. This is not something that I will assume happens to everybody. And I'll say that about the advertisements too. You and I would agree that, yes, clearly going to the 7-Eleven and landing in an IHOP is an advertisement. But I bet you the majority of people out there were like, oh yeah, I guess that's true, huh? That probably was an advertisement. Like, I would guess that never occurred to them.
Yeah, it's definitely true. It's possible.
But on the flip side, to me, what about when people are giving phone numbers in movies? What's the phone number 3-digit code?
Well, you say 555 is always what it starts with.
Right?
Yeah.
And whenever somebody gives a phone number in a movie, they say 555, and immediately
you know it's not real.
I'm reminded that I'm watching a movie.
They can't put an actual phone number in
right,
there.
They can't put, I mean, some movies do.
Some do.
I don't know how they get away with that and whatnot.
You can purchase phone numbers.
But yeah, most movies just do 555 because there is no phone numbers that start with 555. And that's just another thing that pulls you out of the movie, but it's going to happen.
Sure.
And to me, I understand that is a necessary thing that's going on in there, and I see it and I just move past it.
Sure. Here's I think what the difference is though. Okay, so right by our office here, down next to the highway, next to the 84,
right.
There is a stretch which has a Taco Bell, a McDonald's, an Arby's, a Chevron, a Love's gas station. Yeah. There's a hotel there. Yeah. I forget which
Hilton.
One.
No, it's
not a Hilton.
Hyatt. Sorry.
Yeah. So,
Hyatt.
No, Hyatt next to the highway. Anyway, there's some like chain hotel there.
Yeah.
If they were to fight, if Superman and Zod were to like somehow end up in eastern Portland, Oregon, and fight on
Western.
Western, right? Because directions. If they were to fight on that street right there, you would see all those logos. You would see Taco Bell, McDonald's. You would see everything.
Yeah.
What stands out to me about and I've only seen Man of Steel twice because I can't stand that movie, but from what I remember is IHOP and 7-Eleven. But if you're fighting in a like small town, like there, it was bad because that was the logo you saw.
Yeah, it wasn't a group of buildings.
It wasn't just any typical city that you would drive
It was
through.
the lone 7-Eleven and the lone IHOP.
Amidst nothing. And if Smallville is big enough to have those, it's going to have something else. You're going to have some gas stations. Now, there might have been others. I don't remember. I can't specifically say those were the only two logos you ever saw. But, I mean, the whole Metropolis fight, I don't remember any logos from that. And that's a massive city that should have. I saw there was Wayne or LexCorp or Wayne Enterprises maybe, but nothing else. Nothing that was real.
Right.
And so when that specifically is what you have, then it's like, well, that's weird. It doesn't feel natural. That's
absolutely right, and that's true. And that's kind of my point, is that would be a point where they messed up.
Yes.
They made the lone 7-Eleven and the lone IHOP. If they would have just put a couple buildings next to it, then it would have felt fine. What you're saying is a problem, but it's one that is also easily fixed.
Well, they would have had to be buildings that were also had logos you recognize, which there's the problem, because now you have to make deals with all of those logos as well. It's like in Amazing Spider-Man, which was a Sony picture, like a movie from Sony, also advertising Sony Vaio computers in it. Also, the music itself was all Sony records.
Right.
Like that stupid scene where he's trying to he's like sad about something and then it's like, now I'm gonna figure out what my dad did. And Home by Philip Phillips starts playing. Mm-hmm. You're like, this song makes no sense, but it's on Sony's label, so clearly
Right.
they wanted it to be shown. And it's just like, yeah, they're just trying, it's called vertical integration, to make another reference to 30 Rock. They're trying to get their other brand lines in this product to try to sell you on these things, and it just becomes unnatural. Like, it just feels like when that's all you can do, then now it's just a product that you're selling me.
And I understand that. And yes, at that point, you do have to be a lot smarter with how you put this advertisement in there. But my point is you can have both.
Sure.
And I think that if you do both, it can be very good. So let's take video games, for example, right now, where video games are, whether you guys know this or not, the biggest money-making media right now.
Yeah.
Video games make more money
huge.
than movies. They make more money than books. They make more money. So video games are the biggest money making, but the vast majority of that is the big AAA titles.
Yes.
We get a lot of like indie titles that come out that would be really cool if these developers could get $100,000 more for their game. Sometimes, you know what I mean?
Sure,
something real simple like that. And so let's pretend it's I'm trying to think of something that's not a period piece. My first thought, of course, was Hellblade, but that's not gonna.
Hellblade, Senua drinks nothing but Dr. Pepper.
But so let's pretend it's whatever.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, but that's not indie.
Oh, you're talking indie
right.
still. Okay.
So
I don't play indie games.
Whatever it is, let's pretend that it's a modern game, and the dude does pick up a Coleman flashlight.
Life is Strange.
Life is Strange. Absolutely. There's a perfect one. Let's say she grabs her Jansport backpack.
Yeah.
That would be so natural. In fact,
it would
it's
make
supposed
sense.
to be kind of based in the 90s type era, or is it? Whatever it is. I had a Jansport backpack.
Sure.
And that would not only feel natural, it would suddenly like endear me to this main character.
Sure, you would connect a little bit.
And Jansport can give him some more money for that. Let's pretend she pulls out a Lisa Frank folder, or this new one that's coming
unicorn.
out. Yeah, because there's a new Life Strange coming out, and it's about a boy, a young boy.
So
let's pretend he's got some Lisa Frank folders, or some Peachy folders, or whatever. Like, these are things that will immediately, they're advertisements for sure, but there's a point in which they can also relate you to it.
Sure. And I suppose that's true.
And that helps everybody. That helps the game make more money. That helps the company that wants to advertise. That helps us think to myself, I had a Jansport backpack too.
Yeah.
It is a win-win-win situation.
Now, I agree, but I still think there needs to be some... So if what also helps it feel unnatural is how it's displayed on screen.
Yes.
So, like, a logo for a car... If they're just driving somewhere and you get like these beauty shots of like the crane, like the panning across the body of the car,
motion.
Yeah, logo center screen right there. Every time I'm like, well, okay, they're trying to sell some Chevy vehicles. Like the Transformers movies, sponsored by Chevy. Every single Transformer is a Chevy vehicle, unless there's some just generic military vehicle,
right?
But or a Humvee, I guess. But probably also owned by Chevrolet, GM,
GMC,
probably. GM is probably what it is.
GMC,
Anyway,
Chevy, there are a lot of
right. But so those feel unnatural. But let's take the Life is Strange example. If she has a Jansport backpack, and it would still, for the money to come in, because they gotta actually, you can't just have it in the background. You gotta like show, hey, Jansport, like, just give her like a white or like light pink backpack, which she's drawn on or has some buttons on or something. So in that advertising shot, there's also some character development.
Yeah.
You can see what she likes or like, things like that. I haven't played Life is Strange. I don't know if this is something she'd do, but like you take those advertisements and elevate them a little bit to actually also help the movie do what a movie is supposed to do. I think the Lego movie did a really good job with this. The whole movie, they're talking about the Kraggle. Remember that?
Yeah.
And like, what is this thing? And eventually you find out that Lord Business wants to use the Kraggle to like lock the world in place. And it's crazy glue. It's just like a rolled up bottle or thing of crazy glue.
Off, yeah.
And it's all like it's hard to tell. And like that was a funny thing. Like, oh, funny. Crazy glue is. I mean, I don't know if they got paid for it, but that's an advertisement right there.
Right.
That's a real life brand.
Right.
Now it did also reference like that was real life. Also, in actuality, with that, I think, awesome scene.
The Lego movie got pretty meta.
It did. Yeah. I thought it was great. That's probably a great part of the movie to me. But I thought that also elevated... It was technically an advertisement. There was a product in real life in this movie, which is not supposed to be real life. And so they did something funny with it. It's a comedy movie, and they elevated it a little bit and made us laugh, while also being like, hey, Crazy Glue, we recognize that. Like,
right, and, it could have been the Gorgoo, and at the end of it, it's Gorilla Glue that it was. Or, like, there could have been a ton of different things. And so I'm guessing Crazy Glue paid them some money.
Most likely.
Yeah, hey, let's make sure that's the Craggle, just so you know.
It's the Craggle. It was literally integrated into the plot.
Yeah.
It wasn't just an advertisement. It was a plot point, and it was great.
And it was 100% natural.
Not only was I okay with it, but I found it funny and liked it.
Yeah, and again, so to me, at that point, that was a win-win-win situation.
Yes.
Crazy Glue got what they wanted, the Lego movie got what they wanted, and we got what we wanted. And all of that was good. And so to me, I think that as long as they're using it as a force for good, kind of like whatever power weapon, as long as they're using it as a force for good, it can be so good.
It can be.
Yeah.
I think I just, as usual, would rather have the art argument win out in the development process. No, we don't need that. We'll do it without.
Right.
We don't need to do that. We don't want to distract our audience. And there are ways we could do that, but let's just avoid the topic altogether. And they'll just fight in Flo's breakfast place instead of IHOP.
Well, and to me, this is something that a lot of places do. Again, let's go back to the Life is Strange example. Is sometimes they want to say, man, Jansport is kind of a brand that people really get behind. Like, we all know that.
If you think of a backpack, that's what you think.
But we don't want to work a deal with them, so it's going to be Stansport. And they create a logo that looks exactly like it, but it's just enough different.
Don't do that.
But it's not. But they do that. A lot of places do that.
Almost just as annoying to me.
I agree. And that just as much removes you from the situation.
Right.
When, again, at that point, you could work a deal and you guys could talk back and forth. And at the very, very least, you could just get fair use rights and just call them and be like, hey, can I use this? Sure. Maybe nobody gets any money, but everybody gets what they want.
Or just put a backpack without a logo.
But see, again, at that moment, if it's Lisa Frank, there is an emotion tied to this brand that can help endear you to this character.
And that can help, but really what you're looking to connect to is the character. And that can be definitely part of it. I'm not saying that a little girl who likes coloring Lisa Frank posters. A lot of little girls do that. And so they're like, hey, that's like me. But that, I feel like that should still be secondary to a character who emotes similarly to a small girl.
And I think something that they do a lot that is a problem is they'll try and stuff as many of these. So a girl's getting ready in the morning and you see her grab her Jansport, put on her Levi's, squirt her Chanel, and it's all smashed together in one section of, okay, we got to do all these advertisement smash cut scene. And that's bad.
Now I'm going to bring up one more topic or one more example of advertising, and this to me is the most blatant in history, probably in a single piece of art, and that is Ready Player One.
Okay.
While a lot of them were not specifically advertising something, the movie was filled, it was literally plot points. It was about a guy who created a world filled with things he loves, and they were all advertisements. You could construe them to be advertisements for other IP, other products. So Iron Giant or Back to the Future, or they're all references to actual real life things. Now they're not exactly the same as just a simple Coleman flashlight.
Right.
These are things that have some sort of emotional tie to the character, so they they get around a little bit. But is that different? Were you willing to accept all those things as not advertisements, but just plot? Or how did you react to that? You've read the book too, so you have
and the book is actually worse than the movie, I would say.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but in a good way. And so this is kind of to your point right here. So, two things to that. And number one, this goes back to our nostalgia conversation. If you guys want to hear about that, you can check out our review/conversation on nostalgia of Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And an episode that is going to be coming up and about fandom and about how the dangers of like over-dedicated fandom, something we're going to be talking about at some point here. But as far as advertising goes, I also consider this a win-win-win situation.
Really?
Yeah, because so he can go and he can get in his DeLorean and drive away. And I think as a viewer, that's awesome. I remember that. And now maybe Columbia? I don't remember who made Back to the Future. Whoever made Back to the Future
I have no idea.
Can say Ready Player One version of the DeLorean is on sale in stores right now.
I mean, the DeLorean stopped selling DeLoreans a couple months after they started selling
toy.
Them. Oh, the toy.
Yeah, the toy. You know, so
I was like, yeah, that was a failed product.
No, it was a bad car.
That.
It was a bad car.
It's made of steel.
Yes. Yes. No, I mean a toy of it
toy version
is in toy stores right now, and they start getting some revenue coming in. But at the same time, Ready Player One has this really memorable, awesome moment that people love that he jumps in a DeLorean. And at no point did I think, we're clearly just trying to reference or clearly trying to sell something here. Oh, there are the Ninja Turtles. Dumb. That's not what I did. I'm like, there are the Ninja Turtles. Oh, you know, when the dude came out and like on Serenity and jumped out and turned to a Gundam wing, that was incredible to me. It was so good. Or not Gundam Wing. It was, maybe it was Gundam. I can't remember.
Yeah,
whatever
it was a Gundam.
It was Gundam. It was incredible. It was so good and I loved it.
I guess this would be a different topic because most of the things that are depicted in it aren't just straight up products. They're like characters. Or
right. And that's,
things
again, the fandom
things.
thing.
Sure, fandom. They're more like trying to get you. I have a problem with it, but I guess as I'm thinking about it now, it's mainly, I don't have to like this movie that much. I like the things that are in this movie.
Right.
I love Back to the Future and I love Iron Giant, so I love this movie.
Right.
Wait a minute, this movie actually isn't that great. Like, it's pretty by the numbers. The characters are kind of stupid, especially the main character. Do I like this movie or just like that it references things that I actually like?
Right.
That's a different topic.
But a lot of movies are like that.
Not to the extent of Ready Player One.
But Ready Player One is unashamedly that because that's literally what it's about.
Sure, that doesn't excuse the fact that that's what it does.
It's like, to me, it's like the, and I think this is a good example actually because I think it's done in a good way. It's like 30 Rock, where a lot of times in the TV show 30 Rock, they joke about product integration. And they're like, did you get the Snapple? Oh, I only drink... And then all of a sudden it pans to Suri, who's like the pretty girl in the office. She goes, I only date guys who drink Snapple.
Yeah.
And it's goofy. And then there's a point when like Liz is trying to get an elevator and it opens and there's the Snapple, like dude in a Snapple costume.
Sure.
Yes, obviously Snapple paid them, but they're joking about it.
There's a running gag, and that was just really one episode. But yeah, that was.
But
a running
they
gag
do that with a lot of different things. Obviously, all GM products, you know.
Kind of.
It's all owned. NBC's.
They mostly make fun of
all GE.
Yeah.
But it's whether or not it's making fun, it's still an advertisement.
Kind
you know
of.
what I mean? And so the GE tri-heat oven, you know, or whatever. Like
3 kinds of vection. Trivection.
Trivection oven.
Yeah.
Or, you know, do you think you can get the Tracy Jordan meat machine?
That's not a real thing.
But he says, do you think you can get GE to sell it? Like, no. GE would never sell that.
Right, and in that instance, they are making fun. It's like The Simpsons making fun of Fox. It's like, yeah, this is technically an advertisement, but it's not a good one.
There's no such thing as bad press. If we say the name enough times, you just think about it.
I suppose that's true.
You know what I mean?
Point, yeah.
And they're just saying the name over and over and over again, and so now you're thinking about GE sometimes. And so it's one of these things where it's in there, and they know that it's in there, and they're like, well, let's make the best of this. Let's make it fun for the people watching.
Yeah, 30 Rock makes it work for their humor style.
Right, and you're not mad at it. You know it's an advertisement, but you're not mad at it. And I feel the same way about Ready Player One. I feel the same way about advertisements done well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an ad, but you know what? I understand that they got money for it. It was natural. I'm comfortable with it. It's fine.
And I'm less so.
Right.
I would rather you just have generic whatever and stop trying to sell me products when I've already paid to see this product or play this product.
All right. I mean, you're wrong, but no.
That's fair. Sound like me.
Yeah. Well, guys, let us know what you think about product placement. Let us know what you think is a good example of it, something that works out really well. And let us know what you think is one of the worst examples of product placement and just does not work well. Thanks, guys, for listening. And remember, saved games save lives.
Also, make sure you go to Papa John's.
If you want. I mean, Domino's is pretty good, too.
No. Shut up. They're not going to send us their check.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.